On September 14th this year, I signed up to partake in a challenge hosted and possibly created by the Swedish Society for Nature Conservation, or Naturskyddsföreningen, as I would call them in Swedish. The challenge is to acquire a maximum of 5 newly produced clothing items for the next year, so for me, from a year from mid-September, but you can join at any time. The challenge has come around from a report produced by the Swedish Society for Nature Conservation, it's so much longer in English, about how we consume and what the planet can handle. I will leave the report linked in the description down below, but it is unfortunately only in Swedish as far as I've been able to find, and most of my audience does not speak Swedish, but I'll leave it there and you can try to Google translate it if you want, and or there are sources, some of the sources used are in English and you could look at those if you want to. Now, to have a sustainable wardrobe, there are several different things that you can do and look at. I am by no means an expert nor perfect at this, but from this report, I just want to share some stats with you that I did not know prior to this challenge and reading this report. Now, in order for us to not overexert the Earth's resources and not raise the temperature more than 1.5 degrees, according to the Paris Agreement, each individual on planet Earth can consume or acquire a maximum of 5 new clothing pieces, not counting underwear, per year. Now, I understand there are people that consume a whole lot more than that and people that consume nothing. Like, it's not every person is not doing the same now, but this is the moving forward data that we can do to help the planet. We also need our clothes to last for 15 years and for each item to handle being worn 270 times. And currently, on average, a t-shirt is worn 30 times. Now, when it comes to me, I already try to consume primarily secondhand. I bought 1 new clothing item last year. I bought a pair of jeans in the last 5 years. And prior to those 2 things, I haven't bought anything new for 6 or more years. I have definitely not been perfect. I am still not perfect. Obviously, I have consumed new items, and I do also consume a lot of secondhand fashion, which you can have opinions about whether or not that is sustainable or not. But I personally don't think I'm going to have a huge problem with consuming a maximum of 5 items. However, that is because of privilege. I have had the interest and the money and the time and the energy and the space to acquire clothes over the last number of years that work for me. They mostly fit. I have some that need some altering, but they mostly fit. They are fit for the seasons I live in, the climate I'm experiencing, and so on and so forth. And I also wear sizes that are easy to find. This is all privilege. I am also someone who doesn't really care about trends, although you can argue that I still wear things that are in. I just don't get them new to some extent. Like, to some extent I do wear things that are in, I think. I don't know. I don't really care about that. And that is also privilege because I'm in an environment and around people who don't judge me, or at least don't outwardly judge me for what I wear. And I don't feel the need to fit in and conform. So I signed up for this challenge, not so much for it being a challenge for me, but because I want to be part of the number of people doing it. Because I feel like the more people that do it and the more people that talk about it, it's gonna spread further and possibly, hopefully, attract the people who do consume more than 5 new pieces every year, and they can look at it and be like, oh, this is a challenge that I'm intrigued to do because there are other people doing it and there is like safety in numbers in a way. And the average Swedish consumer, according to this report again, consumes an average of 25 new items per year. So going from 25 to 5 is a big leap for some people, or beyond 25 to 5 is a big leap. But I hope that they can be inspired. I hope that you can be inspired, even if you are not Swedish and don't want to sign up for the actual challenge. I am definitely not perfect when it comes to my wardrobe, when it comes to other sustainable things, but this is something that I feel like I can sign up to do. As I said before, I signed up on the 14th of September, and I'm filming this mid-December. I'm not exactly sure when it's gonna go up, but it's been about 3 months for me up until this point. And I have purchased 1 newly produced item as a gift. I was at a crafting fair with Teresa and my husband, and Teresa found a shirt that she liked, but didn't feel like she had the money to get it at the time. And so I asked her, do you want me to get this for you for Christmas? She is also doing the challenge, and we talked a little bit after I'd bought her the shirt if it counts towards my 5 items or her 5 items. And we settled on it being one of my 5 because I'm the one who bought it. She is just the one who received it. Did she acquire it? Sure, but she acquired it as a gift. And so I am counting that as 1 for me, and I have 4 left. And I believe that should the need or the want arise, I can find what I want and need, desire secondhand due to the privilege. Again, I have the time, I have the money, I have the space, I have a common enough size, you know? And should I for some reason not, I am allowed 4 more pieces from this challenge, and I think that is probably good for me. I'm hoping to not cash in on it and make myself buy 5 items new unless it's something I really want, need, and so on. But in the past couple of years, when I've geared more towards secondhand and more towards sustainability in that regard, I have said that I want to aim for secondhand, but I haven't set a number for my non-secondhand stuff. Do I feel guilty that I got the dungarees last year? No, I do not. But I've also just been like, I aim for secondhand, and then I don't know a number, and it doesn't need to be a number, but I like the idea of that. Again, I'm hoping I won't consume 5 new pieces this year, or 4 now remaining in the next 9 months, but there's a number, and I like that. Now, I know I just said that I don't think it's going to be a huge challenge for me because I aim for secondhand, because I have a wardrobe of clothes that work, and so on and so forth. There was still a part of me that was on the fence about signing up for this challenge, and that is because this upcoming spring of 2025, my husband and I are finally getting to go on our honeymoon. We got married in March 2020. Something happened around that time. We were very lucky and fortunate that we were able to go through with our wedding the way we did planned and intended for it to be. There were a couple people who sadly could not make it because they were sick, but not with COVID. But had we had our wedding day like a week or 2 after, we would have had to cancel or seriously rethink how we were doing it. And so we're very fortunate in that regard. However, we were not able to do any sort of honeymoon, and we were actually supposed to go somewhere the day after our wedding, and I was supposed to have about a week off work. But then the thing happened and everything started shutting down. And so the day before our wedding, that trip was cancelled for us. We didn't even have to cancel it. It was cancelled for us. And I called up work and I was like, hi, I want to come back next week because I don't want to just be on use my vacation days and not be able to go somewhere. Little did we know what was going to happen down the line, but either way. And so now, next spring, 5 years after our actual wedding, we are finally fortunate enough to go on our honeymoon. And we have been saving money, we have been saving vacation days to do a big trip, which is going to Japan, which I understand is not sustainable because air travel, not exactly sustainable, but we are doing this and we're thinking of it as probably the last time we'll get to go to Japan because of the environment. We don't travel a lot. We have in the past, but we don't travel a lot via plane. So we're thinking this might be the last time. And with us getting to go for a big long trip, I was on the fence about this challenge because I was like, we're going to be in Japan as a once in a lifetime thing. And what if I find everything I want and more? But then I sat with myself for a bit and I was like, but I wouldn't do that kind of consumption of a bunch of new stuff at home. I buy a lot of things secondhand. I hope to do that in Japan too. But I think it was just that it's a once in a lifetime thing. I'll never go back, possibly. And I'll never see these things again, possibly. And that messed with me for a bit. But I sat down with myself. I talked to my husband and I was like, why would I do that kind of consumption there when I don't do it at home? There is no point in doing that, sort of. I can see the point of doing it, but I ransacked myself and I decided that no, I will still sign up for this challenge. I will still go through with it. And as someone who is very plikttrogen in Swedish, I'll put the English word on the screen when I can figure out what it is, but I'm very rule abiding. I am hopefully not going to overstep and consume 6 things or 7 things. But now, 3 months in, I still have 4 things that I am allowed to get to stick to the maximum of 5. And could I get them all in Japan and have those be for really special things that are once in a lifetime, you know, that whole thing? Yes, I could. And that is still giving me grace and allowance for that trip while also adhering to some rules. They're not actually rules, it's a challenge, but even so. I was just rudely interrupted by my SD card running out of space, so I think I've talked for long enough. I would love to hear in the comments down below if you would ever consider doing a challenge like this, maybe even this one right now for 2025, or if you don't really see the point in it and either already don't consume a lot and therefore don't think it would be a challenge for whatever reason, or if you want to consume more than 5 things for whatever reason. I am again speaking out of my own privilege for what I can do, have done, feel good doing, sort of, in my own life, and I'm not meaning to shame anyone else for their own habits. I just wanted to share that I am doing this and maybe start a discussion in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon, so I hope to see you then. Bye!